So here's our poll so far. We have someone that said on a typical night, they get 1 hour of sleep. A few for 4 hours, a few for 5, a few for 6, 7, 8. And it looks like not many that are more than that. So we are going to use this data to make our next dot plot. So if you haven't responded and you want your response to be counted, respond now. All right, and I didn't make a note sheet for you, but feel free to do it on like a notebook piece of paper, scratch paper, back of something that we're not using. We don't really have a lot of printing capabilities right now for the whole school. So take notes on your own paper. But when you're making dot plots, you need to make a frequency table. All right, so whatever data value we're looking at, this time we're talking about hours of sleep. So would it make sense to have data values be like in the hundreds? All right, no, we're talking about a normal night of sleep. So our data values, although it's pretty weird to have some deep in the low numbers, should be ranging from about 1 to 13 is what I picked. If there's a number outside of that that you think is an answer, feel free to share it. I'm sorry, still trying to get this to work. But for your frequency tables, they should look something like that, where you have the data value on the left-hand side, followed by the frequency, like how often it appeared in your data, in the right-hand side. So what's our first data value based on our poll? What number? Do we have any for 0? So maybe don't include that on your data table, otherwise what's our first data value? 1. I'm gonna put that. How often did 1 occur in our data? So then my frequency is also 1. How many do we have a data value for 2? And how many people said 2? 2. Any for 3? 1. Any for 4? 0. All right, so I'm not going to put 4 because we don't have any for 4. I can tell you lately I've been getting like 4 hours of sleep because I'm up till like midnight planning. Great. 5. How many people said 5? 2. 6. How many people said 6? 4 people said 6. Good. All right. Scrolling down. The only way to make it work again is for me to turn off my whole computer and turn it back on, which I don't want to do. All right, so then how many people said 7? Oh, oops, sorry. 4. And how many people said 8? 7. We may have had some people change their answers, but we're going to go with it. How many data points total do we have? Sorry, I should probably stay on this page. How many data points total do we have? Would I be adding up the left column or the right column? The right column, the frequency. So then 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 4 plus 7. I got 21. And I counted 22 students, but it's okay. maybe someone's sharing with someone else. All right, but we have 21 data points total, which means that we should have 21 dots on our dot plot. So then on to the next part. Looking at our data table, what's the largest value in the data set, the smallest, and what do those numbers represent? So answer that on your Pear Deck screen. You could type your answer if you want. You could draw your answer with your finger, but identify your largest value, the smallest value, and what they represent. All right, but we have that the largest value in our data is 8. The smallest is 1. Anyone disagree with that? Good, we know how to identify our minimum and our maximum. So we should know how to do that for box plots. And for when we make our dot plot today. And then for what it represents, think about what the survey question was. I asked you on a typical night, how much sleep do you get? So if my data value is 8, which is the recommended amount, then that means on a typical night, you get about 8 hours of sleep. If the answer is 1, then on a typical night, you get 1 hour of sleep, which I don't know how you're functioning at this point, but good. It looks like we know how to interpret our data. Yeah, go ahead. So then looking at our data, what is the typical amount of sleep for a student in your class? Based on our data, what is a typical amount of sleep for a student in the class? Sorry. All right, so let's see, 8, typical amount of sleep is ... 8. Good, talking about how many people voted that. Good. So do you guys know what that's called when you look at the data and identify the most common value? What we call that value? Is it the mean, median, range, mode, IQR, standard deviation? What is the most common value in statistics? Range is actually how spread out your data is. So, good guess. But the most common value is called your mode. All right, so if you didn't know that, know that. So that's what you guys seem to base your typical value on. Which one was the most common? So you base it on your mode. Know that also, and I've seen it on your practices already, when we talk about a typical amount, we are also talking about the mean or the median. So you may have to find the mean or median if the mode isn't one of your answer options. All right. It's recommended that teenagers get 8 to 10 hours of sleep each night to perform at their best the following day. Based on the data, how well do you think your class would perform on a test? Explain your reasoning and type it in your response. That's your answer. I mean, keep it PG, but explain why. Based on the data, how well do you think your class would perform on a test? When is our first test in algebra, by the way? Tomorrow. Not to like put any pressure on you, it's just a quiz. But it's gonna be the only one in the grade book for a little bit, so do prepare. There's notes in Schoology, there's videos. There's the practice, which you can base your success on. All that good stuff. All right, so let's see what you guys think. So yes, well, let me remind myself of the question. I don't remember. Based on the data, how well do you think your class would perform on a test? Most will fail. Based on the data, I think the class would do very well if they all slept 8 to 10 hours because they won't be tired. Do the majority of us sleep 8 to 10 hours based on our data? According to this, not really. We're under that. The rest of our data, aside from the 7 that are exactly 8, are under 8 hours of sleep. So if there's a correlation there, then, you know, maybe not as much. All right, but that's more of an opinion question, but you can use the data to support it. Not so well, not good. All right, so maybe get a great amount of sleep tonight and hopefully do well tomorrow. So now the grand finale, make your dot plot using this data. And then what does it say? So make it with this data first. On this dot plot specifically. 21, we had 21 data points. So if I count every single one, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, there should be 21. If there's duplicates of the same number, make sure that you stack them up. Yesterday, we talked about distribution shapes. How would you describe the shape of this distribution? Skewed, and in what direction? Left. Good job. First try. Yeah, so remember, look for the void. All right, I know it's kind of morbid, but I think of it like blood drops, and then the void would be where something was when like the blood happened, right? So if it's on the left, the void, then it's left skewed. So good. It's not symmetric. It doesn't look like a mirror image. It's not bell-shaped. It's not bimodal. Bimodal would be like if this one was also most frequent too, then we could say that, but good. It's just skewed and nothing else. All right, questions, comments, concerns on dot plots. So let's see if you met the success criteria. It was to construct a dot plot and interpret a dot plot. So if you can do those two things, then I don't see why you can't get 100% on the quiz tomorrow. I mean, of course, the quiz is on lessons 1 through 5, but they kind of roll over each other each and every day. So now for the rest of the time, I found a worksheet that I think is great practice for the quiz tomorrow. And it has you constructing a lot of the data. Again, like I mentioned, they're kind of limiting our printing capabilities. So I put it into Schoology. And I will provide you something that I had from a previous class to put your work. But you'll have to do the work from the Chromebook screen. All right, so in this week's folder, if you look at today's date, make sure you're in the math lab course. All right, so today's date is the 17th. You see this assignment? All right, it has a lot of like words in there, but they say the same thing on all my assignments. It says that the worksheet was given out in class. That's a lie for this one. It's not given out in class because I can't print it. And it says to upload in Schoology when you're done, but really that's only if you're absent or you're not finished by the time I check it. All right, and then you're able to view the worksheet down here. Opens up a new window, and here's the worksheet. So the instructions for it, like for 1 and 2, is to make a dot plot. 3 would be a stem and leaf plot, which we have not covered. I might change that to box plot. 5 would be a box plot, and 7 would be a histogram. All right. I don't know if we need to span this over 2 days. We'll see how far you guys get. But I will check toward the end of class because we have a solid like 35 minutes to practice for tomorrow. So this will be your practice. Any questions?